Welcome back to Garage Money Pit. It's another bike episode, and before somebody gets the wrong impression here, I did not go out and shop for motorcycles. Well, I'm always shopping for motorcycles and cars, but no, I did not buy a new motorcycle. This is a proper garage find because I found it at the back of my garage. In fact, I've owned this motorcycle for probably 11 to 12 years by now. So if you're a BMW expert, you probably already spotted that this bike might be slightly special. No, it's not a 1978 Motorsport R100RS. It is something I would call, let's call it a tribute bike, or it's not a full-on replica. It's very obvious if you look at some details that it can't be a 1978 bike. It's painted like a Motorsport. It's got the blue seat. The previous owner actually tried to find all of these parts to make it look mostly like a Motorsport, but you also see it's got a different tailpiece on it than you find on a Motorsport, and so on and so on. So one of the reasons that this bike needs some work and will have to get some work done to it over the winter is in the last decade it's basically done more miles in containers than it has on the actual road. Rubber parts are deteriorated. It will need new tires because the tires are a decade old, and some other stuff like that. But anyway, come over, I'll show you around and I'll show you why this bike is a little bit special. Okay, so this is the elephant in the room. This is an original Krauser 4-valve conversion, which is heads, pistons, several other supporting parts. So this conversion gives the bike a much better kind of upper mid-range. It doesn't give you a huge top-end boost, but that is because it's still running Bing carbs. A lot of these conversions were using Delortos, and that gives you an additional upper rev range boost. But either way, this bike is a lot more entertaining to ride than a regular R100RS. So this is not the only modification on here. You can see it's got floating brake rotors here. Obviously it's a later bike because it has the Brembo calipers, which is good. I don't like the earlier ones that much. It also has either Koni or Icon shocks in the rear. I haven't actually checked which ones they are. As you probably know, Koni sold their motorcycle shock absorber business to Icon, I believe in Australia. Either way, these are Konis or Icons. Again, you can see, yes, there's a lot of dust in there. There's actually all proper Nevada dust, but it's all pretty new and clean. So there are some issues with it, mainly with the bodywork. There's a bracket broken off or missing. There's some damage here. There's some damage on the other side. Like there's some paintwork damage here. And there is also, I think that happened in the last house move, this split open. I have to see if I can readjust that. Also not a huge fan of these driving lights, so they're probably going to get taken off. But other than that, it's in really nice condition under all that dirt, especially given the mileage, and we'll get to that in a sec. It's also still got the old UK tax disc, which are by now even obsolete in the UK. And here you can see it's got a lot of miles on it. I believe the mileage is genuine, and this is a mile per hour speedo. I brought this bike over from the UK. It's got 80,000 miles on it. Obviously not all on the conversion. I have to check some of the paperwork when the conversion was done, but the conversion is pretty recent. Other than that, somebody really thought purple screws here are a good idea. Those get changed. It's got the usual floppy mirror. I'll see what I can do there, or if I have to replace the mirror. Other than that, it just needs a clean, another clean, and yet another clean on top. But as I mentioned, the first order of the day is change the engine oil, change the brake fluid, get it running again, and at least ride it down the road a little bit to make sure that everything is working as it should be before we do anything drastic with it. So while we're talking about BMW-induced amusement, so this is my GS, as is easily recognizable by the clocks, obviously. And I can't recall if I mentioned that in my last GS video or not. But as part of a recall, I also had the dealer change out the fuel strip because the fuel strip was broken, and it's 2006, and of course the fuel strip is a known issue on these. So the first fuel strip they've put in failed on the test drive, and you can probably guess where this is leading. So this is 300, maybe 400 miles after I had the fuel strip changed, and guess what? So you notice something here? Fuel strip failed because the tank's about half full. So unfortunately, I get to go back, and it's a 4-hour round trip, and have them change the fuel strip under warranty again. Yeah, this doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling about owning this generation of GS, even though I love the bike. We'll have to see how long the next one lasts. Because out here in the West Virginia sticks where I like to ride this bike, it kind of helps to have a working fuel gauge. Anyway, this is just a little bit of additional amusement, BMW related as well. And there might be another video about the GS, but I pretty much just use it, and the project bikes are kind of sitting over there instead. Okay, thanks for watching this episode. If you like what you see, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. As far as plans go with this motorcycle, honestly, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. I do want to get it running. I do want to take it out on the road. I do want to address some of the issues that it has accumulated over the last few years. On the other hand, now that I showed you what's so special about it, namely the engine conversion, there is not much support in the US for it. In fact, there is, as far as I know, no support for this conversion in the US. I believe there was one expert on these engines in Texas somewhere, and he passed a few years ago. Part supply is basically non-existent, and it's a neat technical footnote, which is one of the reasons why I'm very reluctant to use this bike, because if anything goes wrong here, if it's the regular 2-valve boxer, you know, parts are a phone call away. For anything like this, I'm looking at having parts made potentially if, you know, let's say a rocker arm wears out or something like that. And that's one of the reasons I'm not planning to ride this bike a lot, and that's why it's always on the back burner, because I'm trying to get stuff done that I can actually take out on the road and don't have to worry about it going wrong or getting parts when it goes wrong. Yeah, so that's basically my quandary with this bike. As much as I like it and RSs are great, parts issue is kind of keeping me from using it for what it is intended for. I've had some ideas of occasionally selling it. I've always backed out on it. Maybe one of these days I'll follow through. So if any of you watching happens to have an R100 GS or an R100S or CS, I might be interested in a trade. Maybe we can do something. In the meantime, yeah, this will be just one of my little side projects amongst all the other big projects. So we'll make a little bit of progress hopefully in the next few weeks. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you back soon with this bike.